this video, you guys are going to be solving word problems. But unlike the word problems that you were solving where the expressions were already created for you, and you just had to know the relationship between those expressions, you are now creating your own expressions based on words. So you're going to have to read the problem and understand what the variable is, and then define the variable, tell me who it represents or what it represents, and then create an equation based on the information that you've been given. This video is about 11 minutes, but it's just a whole bunch of examples because I think this is the first time that a lot of you have even thought about doing this or done this at all. So give it a shot, try it, and see how you do with it. Please remember also to copy down just the examples, so just the solutions. You don't have to copy down the word problems, but copy down the solutions as I'm explaining them. There's room on the back of your video worksheet.
Twice the number of problems as Jonas. Together they solve 28 problems. How many does each boy solve? You may be able to figure this out without doing anything but guess and checking. But in this case, you're going to have to define your variable. You're going to have to write an equation, and you're going to have to solve for each gentleman's number of problems. So the way we define variables is when we look at the problem, we have to figure out whose amount relies on the other. Well, Jacob's amount relies on Jonas because we only know Jacob's amount in reference to Jonas's. So we're going to define our variable by saying let x equal Jonas because we need to know Jonas in order to know Jacob. And then we'll just say Jonas's problems. If Jonas solves x number of problems, it means Jacob solves 4 more than twice the number, otherwise known as 2x plus 4. So that equals Jacob. So we have an expression for the number of problems that Jonas solves and an expression for the number of problems that Jacob solves. Now we have to look at the relationship and be able to set up an equation. So we know that together, which means together would mean I'm adding Jonas plus Jacob, and I'm getting 28 questions because together they solve that many problems. When I simplify, combine like terms, and subtract 4 to make a 0 pair, and divide by 3, I get x equals 8. Well, in this case, x luckily represents the number of problems Jonas solves, so we know that Jonas solves 8. And in order to find Jacob's amount, we're going to evaluate Jacob's expression for x equals 8, because that's how many problems Jonas solves, and we know that Jacob solves an expression amount related to Jonas's. Please, I beg of you, do not take the 8 that you get from Jonas's and subtract it from 28, because if your 8 is wrong, then your Jacob problem is wrong. However, if you go ahead and you say Jonas plus Jacob, 8 plus 20, you're going to go ahead and get your 28 problems. Julia dances for 3 more than 3 times the number of hours as Inez. So we need to know Inez's amount. So let x equal Inez. And Julia would be 3x plus 3. And we know that together, so x plus 3x plus 3 equal 15. So we have 4x plus 3 equals 15. We're going to minus 3 from both sides. 4x equals 12. X equals 3. So we know Inez does 3. And 3 times 3 is 9 plus 3 is 12. So we know that Julia does 12 and Inez does 3, and 12 plus 3 gives us the 15. So we know paper balls is Ben. Let x equals Ben's launches. Daniel's launches are 3x minus 10. So together, Ben plus Daniel equals 98. 4x minus 10 equals 98. 4x equals 108. Divide by 4. X equals 27. So I know that Ben launches 27 paper balls, and Daniel launches 3 times 27 minus 10, or 71. If I add 71 plus 27, I get 98, so I know that I'm correct. Here is my rectangle. The length of a rectangle is 12 more than twice the width. So I'm going to say let x equal width. So there's the width of my rectangle. I know that the length is 2x plus 12. I also know that I have a 4-sided rectangle. So if I add 2 times width plus 2 times length. I'm going to get that equal to 96. So I'm going to get 4x plus 4x plus 24 equals 96. 8x, I lied, 2x plus 4x plus 24. So this should be 6x plus 24 equals 96. 6x equals 72, x equals 12. So if x equals 12, so I know my length is 12 and my width is 2 times 12, or 24, plus 12, which is 36. So if I do 36 times 2 plus 12 times 2, I should get 96, which is the perimeter. So my width is 12 and my length is 36. These are standard math problems, and a lot of you guys are going to be able to figure out the answer to these by guessing and checking, but you have to define your variable and you have to be able to write an equation. So consecutive means in a row. Consecutive integers means integers that fall in a row. So if your first number is x, then your second number is 1 more than x, or x plus 1. And your third number would be x plus 2. So if you have the sum of these three numbers, you're going to have your first number plus your second number plus your third number equal to 105. So then 3x plus 3 is going to equal 105. I'm going to do a little subtraction, and then I'm going to divide, and I get my first integer to be 34, which means my second integer is 35. And my third integer is 36, because they're consecutive, and consecutive means in a row. So if I add 34 plus 35 plus 36, I'm going to correctly get 105. So the hardest part for you guys here is to be able to say to yourselves, what does consecutive mean? And then how do I write expressions to relate to that? The sum of two consecutive odd numbers. So now you're talking about 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. Okay? This is confusing because you want to say, I want to do x plus 1 for the second one. But if x is the first number, to get from the first to the second odd number, you are always adding 2. To get from 1 to 3, you add 2. To get from 3 to 5, you add 2. Okay, so you have two consecutive odd integers. So you're going to add the first and the second, and you're going to get 84. 2x plus 2 equals 84. I'm going to subtract 2. 2x equals 82. And when I divide by 2, I get 41. That is my first consecutive integer. To get my second, I plug it in here. 41 plus 2 is 43. So 41 plus 43 equals 84. I know that the odd piece, you want to be adding things other than 2 and 4. But when I'm creating the problems, I have to be mindful of whether the sum will be odd or even. So these are more basic equations, and these are just writing 1, 2-step equations. You still have to define your variable. So Iris goes to an art store and spends $6 per box of fancy pencils. We don't know how many boxes of pencils Iris buys. We just know that she spends $6 per box. She also buys a sketch pad, one, for $12, and altogether she spends $102. So we're going to say let x equal number of boxes. So you're going to say 6 times the number of boxes plus the $12 she spends on the sketch pad equals $102. So therefore, for just the boxes of pencils, she spends $90. So for each box of pencil, which you get when you divide by 6, you get 15 boxes. So if we look at the next question, Richard goes to the hockey store. He goes to the hockey store and he buys 4 pucks. So just ignore stir and write store. And buys 4 pucks. He also spends $100 on a new pair of skates and $55 on some more stuff. So the only thing that we don't know is how much he spent on pucks. So how much he spent on each puck. So we're going to say that let x equal the dollar amount for pucks, because that's really what we're trying to find out. So it's the dollar amount for pucks. We're going to say that he's going to spend X amount of dollars on each puck, and he's going to buy 4 of them. So 4X is going to tell us the amount of money that he spends on pucks. But he also spends $100 on skates and $55 on other stuff. And altogether in the store, he spends $239. So we have 4X plus 155 equals 239. We add 155, we subtract 155 from both sides. So we get 4X. I just need to erase this. So we get 4X equals 84. And when we divide by 4, we get X equals 21. So he spends $21 on each puck that he buys.